Hello, I'm Don Mitchell. Welcome back to Business Basics, the book that teaches you as a leader to be able to improve the performance of your organization, whether for-profit or nonprofit, by more than 8,000 times over what would normally happen. In this case, we're focusing on the cost-cutting part of that activity, moving into Lesson 30, which is entitled Help Customers Develop Superior Business Models and Change End-User Behavior. As always, I'll let me begin by quoting from the Bible. In this case, a fairly long quotation from the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verses 17 through 24, in the New King James Version. This I say, therefore, and testify to the Lord, that you should no longer walk as the rest of the Gentiles walk, in the futility of their mind, having their understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart, who being past feeling have given themselves over to lewdness, to work all uncleanness with greediness. But you have not so learned Christ, if indeed you have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Jesus, that you put off, concerning your former conduct, the old man which grows corrupt, according to the deceitful lusts, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which was created according to God, in true righteousness and holiness. In this lesson, we continue applying zero-based analysis to create the minimum core offering by considering ways to help customers develop superior business models and to change end-user behavior. Let's start with assisting customers in the development of their superior business models. We now quote from the book of Isaiah, chapter 40, verses 30 and 31. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. This section topic will be controversial with some people. Why? Many business thinkers advocate that suppliers should simply work at making life easy and pleasant for customers so that they receive more and more benefits while only making minimal efforts of their own. If your customer has an ideal business model, that's good advice. However, such advice doesn't apply if your customer could make great improvements. If your customer is going to lose market share, have problems, or even fail, you should clearly step in to help your customers survive and to prosper. If you're tactful in such circumstances, your advice will be welcome. Beyond that, the most demanding customers today expect their suppliers to add more value, including contributions to improve business models. What's more, you can't know how a customer will respond to an improved business model until you share a desirable alternative. You may even be receiving low grades as a supplier for not helping some customers in this way. While customers are making mistakes, a supplier's silence is almost always harmful to customers. If you simply do whatever they ask without telling them the consequences, you'll end up with customers who will make many mistakes that will hurt them as well as your organization. Here's an example of harmful supplier silence from my days as a strategic planner. Our company owned a winery and had contracted for large amounts of grapes to be provided over many years. We either had to turn all those grapes into wine and profitably sell the wine, or take a huge loss on the unsold portion. Our company felt it would help if we owned a glass bottle making plant, based on learning that in many years the profits from making glass bottles exceeded the profits on the wine from our major competitor, Gallo. Having learned that some companies had failed to make new glass bottle plants operate successfully, our company decided to hedge its bets by forming a joint venture with a bottle-making company. Thinking that such a structure would reduce costs, our company offered the partner a cost-plus management contract to make the bottles. On the surface, the venture appeared to work well. Our company regularly won awards for innovative packages. We could make anything the designers specified, and the joint venture reported huge profits. However, our venture partner failed to explain to us that it was costing us a great deal to accomplish these results. Because we made so many different kinds of complicated bottles in small volumes, our cost to make many of these bottles were enormous. In fact, we were financially worse off than if we had not been making glass bottles, but bought standard bottles instead. The joint venture partner didn't mind because our misguided approach increased the profits it earned while crushing the winery's bottom line. We were doubly hurt by high packaging costs and by paying way too much to have the plant managed. As soon as we understood the economics of glass bottle making, we were able to standardize into very few low-cost but attractive designs and to slash our costs. As a result, the plant made more bottles, and eventually our partner made more money than ever before. But I believe the partner would never have told us what to do, even if the winery had continued to struggle for profits. In other cases, customers need a wake-up call because they are harming themselves in ways they should realize on their own. When Mitchell & Company began, for example, one of our consulting clients kept me very busy, but I noticed he seldom followed my advice, and not following the advice was costing him a fortune. I invited him to lunch and told him that I quit. There was no point in him paying me if he wasn't going to follow my advice. I felt that he shouldn't have the cost of making bad decisions and the cost of acquiring unused advice. Startled, he vowed to do better, and he did. Within 5 years, he turned a net worth of $200,000 into more than $25 million. I am also reminded of this need to be candid, unreserved, and helpful in suggesting improvements by my experience in working with one of my MBA students. This man was taking a course intended to help him make better use of his time. After he made all the changes he learned about it was clear he would still be taking 3 times as long as he should to complete each course. Yet he was eager to race ahead and to start on a particularly difficult academic course. I felt I had no choice but to tell him he first needed to learn to read and write better and faster. We compromised on his studying these skills on his own while starting the course he wanted to take. There's a problem we all have. We cannot see ourselves as others see us, which is usually closer to how we really are than our own perceptions. It's as though we have a large spot in the back of our clothes that we cannot see without first removing our clothes or looking at our backs in a mirror. Anyone who sees the back of our clothes knows we need to change into something clean, but we don't change until someone says something to us. Many suppliers attempt to load customers with the most offerings they can at the least marketing cost for them. Such a practice will come to an unhappy end. The customer goes out of business or cannot afford to pay for what was not really needed. Other suppliers are quite open to telling customers ways to obtain more benefit out of working together. But if the customer's business model is going to undermine the results, such advice isn't enough for a customer to prosper. You may be also concerned about customers reacting negatively to your making suggestions about their business models. After all, they are customers, your kings and queens, as it were. Here's a good way to begin. If your customer has any kind of supplier council, ask if you may join it. If that's not possible, ask if you may speak to that group. If that is rejected, ask if you may contact people on the council. What if your customer doesn't have a supplier council? Well, most companies have some sort of customer council. You might ask your customer if the customer council has been helpful. If the answer is positive, then you might ask if the customer might also like to put together a supplier council. You could offer to help organize the activity. Chances are good your suggestion would be welcomed. Once you have access to such a supplier council, you can naturally ask the members if they've thought about evaluating the customer's business model. If you're knowledgeable in the subject, as you surely are after all these lessons, it will be natural for you to be a leading contributor to the evaluation. In the process, you can propose business model improvements that will ultimately carry the weight of the council's recommendation. Your customer will probably pay attention, particularly if you also sit on similar councils doing parallel investigations for companies who are also your customers. If you don't succeed in such efforts to communicate with or to form a supplier council, invite your customer to join your customer council. Be sure that the other customer council members include those who have superior business models of the support this customer needs. Choose agenda items at such meetings that will include your organization doing more to support improved business models for your customers. You only need to apply what you've learned from this book's lesson step to create substantial cost reductions throughout the economic system that supports and benefits from your customer. If you share information effectively, at some point you should also present this very lesson and persuade your customer to help improve the business models of your customers' customers. This way you'll be able to encourage improvements in organizations that you would not normally be able to access. In doing so, be sure to let your customer know that you're happy to be a resource to your customers' customers. So what's the key point about helping customers develop superior business models? You can use zero-based analysis to create 2,000% cost reduction solutions to help customers develop superior business models that will almost instantly expand stakeholders in your profits and benefits after implementation by only supplying the minimum core offering while helping them and you reduce costs by more than 96% or to increase social benefits by more than 20 times of what you will be spending. You have 4 assignments. First, what aspects of your customers' business models add unnecessary operating or supplier costs? Second, how can your customer eliminate such costs through business model improvements without harming stakeholders? Third, how can you employ and improve other organizations to help you provide part of your cost reduction activities as a supplier at less cost and with greater effectiveness? Fourth, how can you turn the activities of other suppliers into sources of profit for your customers rather than continuing to be only a source of costs? So the next question I look at is how you can be someone who helps stakeholder costs be reduced by changing end user behavior. Here I'm going to quote from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 18, verses 2 through 4. What do you mean when you use this proverb concerning the land of Israel, saying, the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge? As I live, says the Lord God, you shall no longer use this proverb in Israel. Behold, all souls are mine. The soul of the Father, as well as the soul of the Son, is mine. The soul who sins shall die. One morning during the fall of 2008, while energy prices were soaring, I read an article in our local newspaper, the Boston Globe, concerning interviews with Bostonians about plans to heat their homes during the following winter. In the article, some people said they wouldn't turn on the heat until January. Others planned to keep their thermostats at 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Some were chopping wood to use for cooking fires that would heat their homes. Many people were buying warmer clothes, putting on layers of such clothes indoors, and installing extra insulation in their homes. As I read this story, I remember U.S. President Jimmy Carter appearing on television during the first oil price spike in the 1970s, wearing a sweater indoors and advising Americans to set their thermostats to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. I also remember that most people complained they couldn't possibly live at such a lower temperature. Today, few private homes in the colder regions of the United States would have a temperature setting that high in the winter. Many people now find themselves being more active outdoors in the winter because the differences in temperature in buildings and the outdoors is less. What a difference 30 years and much higher prices can make. More importantly, I think this example eloquently points out how adaptable end users can be. Provide the right incentives, end users will find a better solution that they feel comfortable with. When the incentive is to change is also based on something that people agree with, behavior will shift more rapidly. Before, deposit fees were charged on returnable bottles in the United States. Hardly anyone bothered to recycle glass. When a fee of about 5 cents for bottles was introduced, thrifty couples and children who wanted more pocket money began recycling. In addition, homeless people could earn enough to buy 3 satisfying meals a day by going along the sides of roads and picking up discarded bottles. As children learned more about the environmental benefits of recycling, the rate of glass recycling went higher and higher, even though there was no increase in the amount of the bottle deposit. Many Americans also didn't like wearing seatbelts in cars when manufacturers first required them to be provided. When other states enacted laws mandating that seatbelts be used, many people did not fasten them. Responding to the new regulations, manufacturers then designed seatbelts that automatically fit around drivers and passengers. Without a lot of extra effort, people in such cars were using seatbelts, whether or not they favored the safety feature. Deaths and serious injuries from vehicle accidents declined. Providing the right incentives, encouragements, and redesigned offerings, and you can totally change end user behavior. Why is that important? In many industries, end user behavior accounts for a vast and unnecessary percentage of the total cost for the industry. Change behavior in ways that will eliminate or greatly reduce such costs, and you'll benefit from a much more attractive business opportunity. Let's consider the traditional MBA program in the United States as an example. Prior to World War II, hardly anyone followed such a course of study. Why? No one was sure how to teach business, and there was no significant track record of success. After World War II, many men who had served in the military and were starting their careers at an advanced age wanted to learn as quickly as possible how to be effective civilian leaders of major business enterprises. Harvard Business School offered a surrogate for that sort of training for discussing case histories of issues major American companies have faced. Prior to World War II, college graduates were rarely found in the executive ranks of American businesses. After World War II, the new MBAs were able to leap 2 levels ahead of those with only high school degrees by using their reading, math, and analytical business skills to look at problems more thoroughly. Not surprisingly, these MBAs advanced rapidly in their companies, and starting salaries rose for MBAs. On a cost-effectiveness basis, these MBA graduates were a bargain for their employers. The new employees arrived with skills that normally would have had to be taught by the company or learned through long experience filled with expensive mistakes. As the career progress and salary surveys of MBAs were publicized, many people realized they could add hundreds of thousands of dollars to their lifetime incomes by attending a business school and earning an MBA degree. As long as the advantage was true, MBA applications and enrollments zoomed. Today, the trend for more MBA education continues, even though it takes many MBAs a decade or more to earn enough increased income to cover the cost of such a 2-year education. With the habit of seeking such knowledge firmly in place, the business community MBA programs will probably continue to grow, long after they fail to produce enough added economic incentive through increased income. Such programs will simply become like seatbelts that automatically fasten. People who plan to go into business management will automatically seek to enroll in and to complete such programs. What can we conclude from these examples? 6 principles apply. First, you can expect that large shifts in behavior can occur, and quite quickly, the incentives are large enough. Second, if you provide incentives for all stakeholders to make the change, you'll get better results than if you provide only incentives for end users. Third, you should make it more difficult to resist the change than it is to make the change. Fourth, you need to avoid having competitors undercut the change. Fifth, if you can appeal to strongly held end user values, the spread of change will be faster and more complete. Sixth, if you focus on making end users feel their lives have been improved by the change, there will be faster and more thorough shifts in behavior. Let's consider an example of what might be accomplished by looking at a shift in the behavior of families buying groceries and non-food items. The trend in supermarkets has been to offer more and more items, to be open for longer and longer hours, to provide more and more services to customers. Why? Stores know that people don't have much time for shopping. If purchasers can get more shopping done in less time when it's convenient for them to shop, providing such expanded opportunities will help attract those who feel that food shopping is more of a pain than a pleasure. At home, shoppers' family may not be so happy with such infrequent shopping, particularly if purchasing trips occur without notice to those who want some special item to be acquired. When the shopper brings home the bacon on such occasions, some of the family who wanted Canadian bacon will complain. Due to the purchaser not having a complete list of what the family wanted, the store sold less than it might have. The shopper might have also come to the store at a busy shopping time, so that some items were missing from the shelves and high costs were incurred to have extra help on hand at the cash registers. What could a store do to change such behavior in cost-reducing ways? Well, here are a few ideas to stimulate your thinking. First, provide a way to create password-protected lists of items that family members want purchased. The store could use such lists to plan in-store inventory levels. Such lists would then mean that special request items would be more often purchased on the next shopping trip. Second, make it easy for anyone in the family to use the list for shopping. Provide optional controlled access to the usual shopper's debit or credit card to pay for the purchases. These services could save the usual shopper from having to go as often. 3. Restock the most popular items just before the busiest times of the week, as well as overnight. 4. Offer time-sensitive pricing so those who shop when there are few customers and excess staff capacity can enjoy lower prices for purchasing. Fifth, provide each family member with the option to receive email and cell phone alerts about price specials concerning items each person bought in the last year, so the family can stock up at a lower cost. 6. Provide free service of assembling sacks of dry packaged goods on the list of desired items for those who pick up their orders at times when cashiers and shelf stockers are less busy. Second, offer volume discounts similar to what warehouse clubs do, so that there's a financial incentive to buy a lot more at one time. 8. Encourage local banks to put in ATMs at their own expense. Offer price discounts for cash payments so that fewer credit and debit card fees will be incurred by the stores. The effect of such changes will be to increase the total purchases, reduce the time shoppers spend in the store, attract more shoppers, and reduce operating costs while increasing on-shelf availability. Shoppers and family members will be happier, feeling more satisfied with what they eat and use and how easy it is for them to acquire what they want, while families will save money on what they purchase. Are you ready to make such changes for your end users? If not, you should start getting ready now. What's the key point about changing end user behavior? You can use zero-based analysis to create 2,000% cost reduction solutions to change end user behavior in ways that will almost instantly expand your and your stakeholders' profits, benefits, and cash flow after implementation by only supplying the minimum core offering while helping you reduce costs by more than 86%, or increase social benefits by more than 20 times of what you will be spending. So here are your assignments. First, what aspects of your end users' behavior add unnecessary operating costs for them, for you, and for other stakeholders? Second, how could your offerings be redesigned to eliminate such costs without causing any harm to any stakeholders? And finally, three, how could the offerings be structured so that competitors would feel compelled to move in the same direction, but would probably lag further and further behind in the rate of implementation? So thank you for considering these ideas. I hope you'll have a great time implementing them. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. But in the meantime, may God bless you, your family, and all you do in the name of Jesus. Goodbye for now. Take care.